right volume?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I live in Otley. I've lived, not forever, but for about 3.5 years now. I really like living in Otley, and everybody you talk to who lives in Otley, whether they've arrived recently or lived there, you know, since were born there, lived forever, everybody likes Otley. So they're very kind of protective about what Otley is like at the moment and how it might change in the future. And it's that sort of context really that I want to sort of set Green Party policies in, particularly housing, but also transport. I don't think we have time to do it for any more than that. But it's really about how do we actually win voters over, because this is a real opportunity. And in Otley we've got elections, we've got 3 sets of elections. We've obviously got Tim standing in the general election, Leeds North West. We've got Leeds City Council, where I'm the candidate for Otley and Yeadon. We've also got the Town Council. The whole of Otley Town Council is up for election. We've got a candidate for the first time in each local ward. And that's where we're most likely to get success, to be honest, in terms of electing people. Now, it's not just about electing green candidates to posts. It's obviously, as Tim said earlier, it's about the national percentage vote you get is massively important because it brings money into the party. You know, assuming Caroline will be re-elected, which I'm sure she will be. But we do want successes, we want things to build on, because we've got a massive membership. You'll be aware, I think most people here, that it's gone over 60,000 now, and it's 5,000 in Yorkshire and Humber. We want those people not only to be active up to, you know, 3 weeks' time, we want them to stay active in the party, and we want things to carry on moving forward. So what's Otley like then, apart from a lovely place to live? Well, it's a biking town. We've got a world champion in Lizzie Armstead, but nobody actually gets on the bike very much to ride around Otley. Hundreds of people every week get on road bikes, including myself from time to time, and we ride out of Otley, but nobody very much rides around Otley because it's considered unsafe. Unless you're a really experienced cyclist, you don't feel confident. We get HGVs going north, south and east, west through Otley. We've got traffic congestion, not only the bridge, we've got a crazy one-way system, which Leeds Highways introduced. They said they consulted local people, but you could ask any local person and they would deny it. Because they've tried it both ways, and very soon they're going to go back to two-way again. So that's an example, really, of where Leeds, as an authority, is quite remote from Otley, both physically and in terms of decision-making. So as Green candidates, we have to engage with all that if we want to be successful. So in terms of what policies are we kind of pushing on the doorstep, in terms of traffic congestion, I mean, our main thing is around, I mean, we agree with everybody, because we're not the only party that thinks the one-way hasn't worked. But we're coming up with going further than that. We want safe cycling routes. We want a kind of circular route around Otley, which isn't the easiest place, not as easy as somewhere like York. It's not always flat Otley, but there are routes you can construct around so that young people and children can cycle to school, so that people can go into shops. So that's kind of one area where, obviously, and people recognise that Greens will want more people to cycle. It's a kind of thing that we do. So we've actually got boards on bikes now, and we're cycling round Otley to advertise that we're standing in the election. But it's obviously more than that. We want public transport that's integrated through ticketing, because the main complaint is the train service. Once you get to Menston, it's a pretty good service, not at the rush hours, but most of the time. You know, it's a fast train in. We have to get to Menston up a steep hill. The one thing that is likely to happen in the future, the Greenway, which will be a leisure activity primarily to walk and bike, which will be south of Otley, running from Poole along to Burley. That's very helpful to us because we can connect up cycle paths to it, and we can encourage commuters to use that route, which is a safer route and probably a flatter route than the present one up to Menston. And if we at some point get Arthington Station reopened, which is another thing to campaign on the Harrogate line, then that could be extended to there. So we're kind of connecting up to those issues and putting a kind of green perspective on them. In terms of housing, following on from last speaker, the main concern is that and it's not new, but there are serious proposals for further housing developments. There's one going on at the moment, 200 homes. The biggest one in the pipeline is east of Otley, 550 homes. Otley's about 15,000 people. You know, that's a massive change in terms of population. Demands on local infrastructure. It'll obviously add massively to traffic, but it creates problems in terms of schools, GPs, dentists. Currently, I have a dentist in Holt Park, and I've been to the doctors in Bramhope recently because my surgery has amalgamated with another one. If I'd waited long enough, I could go in Otley, but it's quicker to actually go to Bramhope. I mean, that's not local services, and that's now. So further housing developments put much more pressure on existing stretched infrastructure. So in terms of Greens intervening, then we're really about filling empty properties first, of which there are some in Otley, just there are right across Leeds. When we've done that, the brownfield sites, taking account of any, because it was pointed out to, I had a brief chat before, that brownfield sites can be rich for species, you know, for basically it allows nature to actually blossom in other areas where we tend to stamp it out. But allowing for that, basically brownfield sites have to come next. And any developments, which probably will happen in future years, we've really got to make developers pay properly. It's too easy to get, the Tories have made it easier in the last 5 years for planners to get permission to go ahead. And planners will buy up land and sit on it for years if necessary in order to find the right time to go ahead. We've got a development at the moment, 200 homes. There should have been agreement for not just a road in and out of the estate, but a cycle lane running alongside of it. You know, there should have been agreement to have a proper, using the weir alongside that, because it's the old mill site. There should have been agreement for a proper hydro system to be installed there. Something's going to happen, but I think it's going to be more cosmetic than the actual reality. So we could be generating local energy. So if that gives you a kind of flavour really, it's about connecting up our national policies, put them in a local context, and then let's actually sell them to local people so that we can actually get some influence, get more members on councils, and obviously more MPs, we hope, at all different levels of politics, and keep this, you know, this new movement in a way, not that the Green Party's new of course, but keep it moving forward in a really positive way and forcing the other parties, and hopefully even eventually the electoral system, to adapt to the reality of the future. Okay, thanks very much.